Welcome everyone. This is the continuation of the Out of and Into Africa conference series that we started in 2018. And this is the second edition, you might say, of this conference series. The theme, of course, is about Africa and international business that is conducted within Africa, both by African companies, African corporations, multinational corporations. And the idea was basically to try to really understand the impact of international business across the continent. We are managing the conference, so it's myself as conference chair, and I have two additional program chairs, Dr. Haiyan Hu from Morgan State University, and Dr. Wheeler Winstead from Howard University in Washington, D.C. But first, I wanted to introduce our behind-the-scenes operators, you might say. Our program coordinator is Serwa Karikari from Morgan State University, and our technology and graphics specialist is Anya Ueno from Howard University, and our web page developers are Tanisha Walters from Morgan State University and Anya Ueno from Howard University. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on Dr. Haiyan Hu, who might want to say a few words to introduce herself, and then we'll go to Dr. Wheeler Winstead, who could do the same.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Haiyan Hu. I am the Associate Professor of Marketing here at the Morgan State University. And I would like to extend my warmest welcome to everyone coming, joining for us for this great conference. So we are very happy that it has brought to fruition today, and I hope everyone has a great time. So we wish that this conference will become a forum for us to continue to exchange our findings, our knowledge, and develop some research agendas for future, and most importantly, to give us a place to maybe develop some collaborations among the researchers of similar interest.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Hu. Call Dr. Winstead to the floor.
Thank you for calling me to the Zoom floor, Dr. Khan. Welcome everyone to our Out of and Into Africa conference. It's so wonderful to see all the participants from all over the world. I'm here just simply bringing just remarks from Howard University. We are really honored to be a partner in this endeavor. My interest and my research recently has been in the area of African youth entrepreneurship. The chapter is African Youth Rising, the Emergence and Growth of Youth-Led Digital Enterprise in Africa. I'm inviting you not simply to have your face here, but we need to hear your thoughts and your opinions. We need your ideas. So I'm looking forward to hear some ideas and some thoughts and challenges. Again, Morgan State, thank you so much for having the wisdom to begin this conference.
Thank you for the welcome. It's been a wonderful sort of connecting with so many scholars who are deeply interested in this context, in this African context, and also about originating theory from within Africa, but really bringing out African originated international business initiatives and theory to the Western context. Like to call on our illustrious provost, a new provost at Morgan State University.
Welcome to the National Treasure, Morgan State University, the Maryland's preeminent public urban research university. I want to thank the partners for organizing this conference along with Morgan State. That's Cyber CMCC and Howard University. On behalf of President Wilson, I want to welcome everyone from all over the world, as I heard about this conference, to the great Morgan State University. I know this conference, Out of and Into Africa, is focusing on African consumer marketing, firm strategies, and society. I want to thank you all. I want to wish everyone for this great day, great 2 days of this conference.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hung Tao Yu, for your very kind remarks for this conference. I think it sets the right tone. Dean Bogosian as well for his remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Khan, and thank you, Provost Yu. This conference has been postponed this past year due to COVID-19, and this year is being done virtually in collaboration with Howard University, the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, University of Pretoria, and we have already established several relationships, Morgan State University and the School of Business, with institutions in Nigeria. I see Professor Tijani is there, and we have with Dr. Astatke, who is our Assistant Vice President for International Affairs. We are exploring collaboration with institutions in Kenya and Ethiopia. So the potential is so enormous. So I'd like to thank my colleagues, Dr. Khan and Dr. Yu, and also Dr. Haiyan Hu, for their collaboration on this endeavor.
The Dean of Howard University's Business School.
Happy to participate in such an important conference. I think, again, this is something that's critically important. I was listening to the last session there, and the points that were brought up were significantly important to the things that we're trying to do at Howard, and I'm sure across all the other universities in Morgan State as well. And that is to address these business challenges that we're dealing with around international business, and particularly on the continent of Africa. And so we're trying to infuse into our students some of the things around developing business strategies, analyzing market gaps and growth opportunities, evaluating risk across the country and across the continent, and designing strategies and all kinds of activities around trying to promote an international perspective into our curriculum so that our students can kind of gain these experiences. The benefits of this for us as a country and our students is to kind of gain some kind of international experience, particularly around consulting, so that we can help the business climate on the African continent.
Professor Tijani is here as well. Really been instrumental in outreach from Morgan State University to institutions within Africa.
Thank you very much, Provost Yu, Dean Bogosian, and Dr. Khan, Dr. Hu, and Dr. Winstead. I just want to thank you on behalf of Division of International Affairs, but more importantly, Office of Global Partnerships Africa, for which I superintend. It's been a learning moment since we started. Thank you for a great work, and we're looking forward to much more vibrant dialogue.
Hello, welcome, Professor Coupe. How are you doing? The floor is yours.
A very good morning, afternoon, and evening from where I sit in the city of Tshwane in South Africa. We are bringing together 30 to 40 African and international universities as strategic partners. I sincerely hope Morgan State University and Howard University will be among those 30 to 40. I've been talking to some folks, particularly at Howard University. Our youth will contribute significantly to innovation and entrepreneurship on the continent if afforded the opportunity to realize their full potential. I
would like to invite Mr. Irvin Masinga from the U.S. State Department to deliver the keynote speech. Irvin Masinga is a Foreign Service Minister Counselor and is the State Department's Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of African Affairs.
Very much, Omar, and I'd like to thank you and the conference organizers from Morgan State and Howard University for extending this invitation to the State Department's Bureau of African Affairs to deliver the keynote. I appreciate your warm words of welcome. I'm very pleased to be here today to speak to this distinguished group of international scholars and practitioners on Africa's enormous value proposition for businesses. We are very optimistic and very hopeful that indeed will be the case. Africa has 4 trends businesses usually look towards when deciding where to expand internationally: high population growth, a young population, an increasing middle class, and significant economic growth potential. More than half of the global population growth between now and 2050 is expected to occur in Africa. Most of those people are going to be young people who are eager to be part of the international markets, who are eager to be part of the international value proposition, and we want to be part of that story as well. The United States is doing its part to work alongside and support of the private sector in Africa. We are focused on encouraging more businesses, especially small and medium-sized businesses, the African diaspora, women-owned enterprises, to take a closer look at sub-Saharan Africa. The United States clearly sees Africa's value proposition, and I hope after today's presentation you will too.
Thank you, Mr. Maseng. The speech was right on target in terms of setting the tone for this conference. Ms. Peacock's hand is raised. So your floor is yours, Ms. Peacock.
I would like to mention that I remember the days when Morgan State and Tijani brought his students to the U.S. Department of State Bureau of African Affairs. He really took the time to bring the students and to connect them with the policymakers, and that is something we can continue to do.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peacock. Thank you for validating this. We thank you so much for those years.
This HBCUs are a priority. We need the students to even join the Foreign Service.
Absolutely, so critical actually, and really fostering that HBCU leadership in especially this context.
So we're going to start our first research presentation, and we selected 5 papers for the presentation. Our track chair, Dr. Anki Kachodia from South Africa, and he will introduce our speakers, our presenters.
Thank you for providing me this opportunity to work as a session chair for this consumer behavior track. The title of the paper is the Privacy Concerns and Consumer Engagement in Online Banking Through the Lens of Protection Motivation Theory.
Since it is a work in progress, we will appreciate your suggestions and also your guidance.
Does ethnic identity actually have influence on online shopping?
Online shopping has some challenges. There's no doubt about that. Okay.
Consumption of luxury products is actually a universal phenomenon.
We very much still agree that luxury consumption as such is a very universal phenomenon that you will find in different parts of the world. However, what some of the research in emerging markets has shown is that the typologies of luxury consumers, for example, differs.
Thank you very much again for every presenters, and that was great. We have a presentation coming up by Stefan Iverson for our consumer marketing track. You know, you mentioned the infrastructure that is needed to build up, you know, to collect the data, you know, study the consumer market in the continent.
When Uber entered the African market, there was nobody there, right? There may be like 1 or 2 startups coming in, but when you go to Ghana now, there's too much choice of ride-hailing companies because the data is there. What that does, it lowers the price and it gives people options how they get to work. Because the roads are so bad and there's no other way of getting to work, it's like people don't have to own a car anymore. But now people can take an Uber or take a Yango or take a Bolt or take any other service because it's such a low price. So it's a race to the bottom. And for me, I think that works in favor of those on the continent.
Your work is very important in the sense that you are a pioneer in collecting those data and make them available to the businesses. So thank you again for your presentation. I would like to wrap up.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hu, for and Dr. Kachodia as well for chairing that previous session. This track, the firm strategy track, carries on and talks about things from the firm perspective. You know, in this track, we've got 5 splendid papers here.
And I know that in most part of Africa, there's this idea of publish or perish, that some, or if not most, until recently, will pay to publish anywhere, and then just to get promotion.
And like you said, you publish or you perish. And one of the things that, at least from our sphere and from our department, at least we need to publish in what we call the ABS list journals.
It's very important that African scholars be heard. You are the experts on what's going on in Africa. Please send your articles there. I am happy to provide constructive feedback.
I want to thank everyone for persevering and all the wonderful research that you've been doing.
The major focus of this panel discussion is on advancing youth entrepreneurship in Africa. We see that a lot of young people are starting scalable businesses that's actually contributing to the economic development.
There is a lot of entrepreneurs, trying to move around those issues and be successful. I have the ecosystem support that is the government and incubators, accelerators. But for the government side, there is an important action to do is that can facilitate entrepreneurs like me to develop their ideas and their businesses.
COVID accelerated a lot of growth, even though it came with its own woes, but yes, it accelerated a lot of growth, especially in the digital economy for a lot of people. It's deeply rooted in value for any businesses that can, deliver value, scale value. Trust me, you can go from 0 to 100.
Definitely is a big challenge when it comes to, looking for funding, especially in Africa. But maybe one of the things that I would say that is quite important is how do we position yourself for funding as well, because you need to look at the trends every year. What are investors interested in Africa? For example, right now, if you really want to really want to attract investors funding in sub-Saharan Africa, is that you really have to do something on fintech.
So thank you again, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Welcome everyone back to the second day of our conference, Out of and Into Africa. This is the Society and Institution track. We have 5 research papers that will be presented. Susan
Mudambi.
Mudambi. And this is on food safety, a satisfier or dissatisfier for African consumers, evidence on green leafy vegetables from Nairobi, Kenya. And the presenters are Jane Chage, Arnout Fisher, and Paul Engenblack.
I think from my perspective as a historian, you want to mix or validate the various concepts or theories with the reality, the historical context.
This is part of my thesis, like you mentioned. But my thesis is actually split into 3 different sections. It's a mixed method thesis. So this is one aspect of it. But the broad context is right sharing, which is actually the broad focus of my thesis. So the sharing economy is just one part of it.
Religion plays a huge role. Of the religious beliefs within the family, then there is the view of religion as being able to help others.
I am delighted to be a participant on this panel. And Dr. Winstead did set the stage very artfully. So I just wanted to talk about some of the enabling institutions. The African youth, they are doing their part to make their contributions to combat COVID.
The youth entrepreneurs are leading the charge to chart a new course of prosperity and progress in the continent, to write a new story. These young entrepreneurs are doing great stuff in the midst of very challenging situation.
Dr. Ray, your opening comment.
What I would like to share is part of a chapter that we wrote for our book, The Handbook on African Entrepreneurship and Innovation.
The ease of doing business, and we note that countries like Mauritius are in the top 20 when it comes to ease of doing business. We see countries like Rwanda, Kenya doing fantastically well.
I think if we can start thinking about everyday micro entrepreneurs as an infrastructure resource and how to leverage that to the betterment of the continent and for the advantage of the continent. But I think it's a huge asset, and I'd love to see more research look at that.
Thank you, those of you who presented research papers, excellent papers. We really appreciate your contribution. Hopefully the proceedings, you'll see these things reflected in those proceedings. Again, thank you again, panelists. I don't know if Dr. Khan, you want to have any closing remarks?
Thank you all. Thank you very much. What a great session to end with. And some of our panelists and research folks are. It might, in a couple of places, it might be past midnight. But it's been wonderful. You've persevered. And what a wonderful performance from the researchers and the presenters, and of course, the panelists as well. And also what a wonderful discussion from the audience. And that's why I want to keep this carried on, this Out of and Into Africa series biannually, because there's so much to cover. And perhaps we're going to focus it more on the different topics, because there's so much to uncover within each particular attribute of this marvelous sort of research stream. So thank you again. Thank you. Good day.
Thank
Good
you.
night.